passion, the power, and the pulse of the mighty One New Zealand Warriors. This is Ruin Hammer Live. Joining me tonight, as usual, is my co-host and fellow Warriors Tragic, Warrior Roo, as we dive into everything Warriors related. Rob, how are you, mate? It's been a couple of weeks since we've been on screen together.
It has been a while. We managed to dodge last week, so we didn't have to talk too much about that diabolical performance against Melbourne. Then lucky enough to be joined by Brad Inger to step in the week before.
Yep.
So thanks to Brad for that. And I've been good. School holidays are over. I've got a few days off myself now. Sneaky little break in between Easter Monday and Anzac Day. So got a lot of stuff to do, as you know, around the house after all the renos and that kind of thing. So been pretty good. The weather's good for now, leading into Magic Round the following weekend. But a bit of rain on the way, as we were just talking about. So how you been, mate? You been all right?
Yeah, just work, mate. Just work and work.
Yeah.
Bit hectic with everyone still wants their bins picked up, regardless of public holidays or not.
Cheeky.
But the office is shut. So last week we had to fit in 7 days worth of work into 4, and this week it's 7 days into 3. So
joy.
A bit of a nightmare. Looking forward to next week, mate, because I've only got a 4-day week next week before I'm jetting up to Queensland for Magic Round and to hang out with you. Spend a week up there on the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Mate, can I ask your backdrop, where you're set up now? Are you in a different room of the house?
Yeah, I move around all the time. Like I'm now in the spare bedroom.
Gotcha.
So I've tried to get my backdrop, but I'm really far away from the window, and I've got nothing to put old Rog up against. So
yep.
I'm sort of I'll have to work on the sort of aesthetics. I think you're doing it way better than me.
Mine looks like it's so far away, but it's just here. Like I can touch.
Yep.
And I've got all my jerseys set up now, which is good because a lot of them have been in storage containers and that when I was living at the other place. But we've got a nice backdrop. If I could move the camera, you'd see every single Ruin Hammer shirt that we've ever sold is folded up down the bottom here. So it's looking good. It's looking good, mate. Kia ora, Joel.
Happy Easter to you as well, Jay.
Yeah.
And Shannon Griffiths is in the chat as well. Broncos fans are still super quiet. Yes, they are, because they're Broncos fans and they don't know how to lose.
Mate, let's dive back 2 weeks. We're not going to delve too far into it, but a 42-14 hiding at the hands of the Melbourne Storm yet again. That's now 17 straight losses to the Storm in 11 years. That's some kind.
We're going to get into that, Jay. Sorry.
Yeah, we will get into that. That's some kind
of.
Oh, mate,
hoodoo. Diabolical. 17th straight loss to the Storm. We're going back 10 years, as we well documented. Last time we beat them was the Nathan Friend somersault kick in 2015 when Tohu Harris and Blake Green were playing for
Melbourne. Yep.
Yeah, far out. It seems like an eternity ago, and I think with that game, we knew that we had to get out to a hot start, otherwise we were toast, and we did the opposite, and we were toast.
Yes.
The game was all but over by half time. We weren't in it at all. A much improved second half, although Jerome Hughes was taken from the field. So sort of fish and chip paper there, but hard to take too much positive out of that one. We were just gone to shreds in that first half. Speed on the edges was just killing us, and so
losing
sort of story.
Losing Fisher Harris early, and then C&K to a HIA Cat 1 didn't help us much either. But as you said, 36-0 halftime to the Storm. We were never really in that game, and that was one that I was happy that we didn't have to discuss too much. Let's push forward to last weekend. A 20-18 victory over the Broncos. Golden Point thriller, I guess you could call it, although it really didn't. Golden Point really wasn't much at all. Thanks to Reece Walsh. It was.
I thought he was still playing for the Warriors. Thanks, Reece.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get your thoughts on the jersey that we wore in a minute, because you are a big jersey man. But just talking about the game, I thought for us, we've still got the same. A win's a win. Let's take the 2 points. and
Mhm.
you know, people have welcome to their opinions on things, but you just see people waxing lyrical about how good we were, and gee, Metcalf played well, and this and that, and it was still a very poor performance. I found while Metcalf's growing into that halfback role, I still don't think he's doing enough, especially in our good ball sets. It was one of those games again where we had multiple repeat sets on the Broncos line, and we didn't really show any shape or any attack creativity. It was a lot of that one out trying to barge over type of stuff. I think the thing
Side
that
to
kept us,
side.
side to side stuff. I think the thing that kept us in the game was our defence. What were your thoughts on the game, mate?
Oh, yeah, exactly. That first half was extremely frustrating. Admittedly, the conditions weren't great, and apparently there was a massive storm warning before the game as well, so it could have been a lot worse than what it was. I think we were just lucky. The Broncos are well off their game, well off their game. You look at those two sides on paper, and we should have been smashed. There was daylight between us, and then we're decimated by injuries, and I think what kept us in the game was the Broncos' form or lack thereof. They were struggling as well, close to the line, and the one try they got was just a show and go from dummy half. But yeah, you're right. Like, that attack was frustrating. We were camped on their line, and we just weren't coming away with points. And it's just like, this has been the pattern for a long time now. We were lucky enough to get that try. But I think I was saying to you guys in the group chat right before it happened, it's going to be a bit of Leka Halasima magic or Ali Lauatau or something to get us over the line. Sure enough, he went broke through a couple of tackles and scored the try that we needed. But yeah, like after half time, I think we started making a bit more, making our opportunities close to the line, putting on a few tries, and as soon as we put a bit of distance between ourselves and the Broncos, we'd have a bit of breathing space. And luckily for us, they continued to make mistakes, and they didn't have a lot of possession in that second half. And one thing that is an issue, and you mentioned Metcalf, and I know that he kicked the match-winning penalty from halfway, but it doesn't disguise the fact that prior to that he was 1 from 5. And if he kicks even one of those goals, it may not even get to golden point. Like, we would be up by, we could have even been up 20 points to 18 before full time. I mean, that the conversion for Niakore's try was not a difficult kick for a first grade standard kicker, and I get that there was a big breeze and everything, which ultimately helped us get that kick in the end. But
it didn't affect Reynolds, though, did it?
No, it didn't. Not at all. That's what I was saying to you, blokes. Like I said, Broncos will score twice here, and Reynolds will kick both. It won't matter where it is because he's ice cool under pressure. And sure enough, we left enough time, and we gave them 2 opportunities, and they scored. One of them quite fortuitously. The Reece Walsh try could have gone either way. It was, did it touch Jesse Arthur's arm and travel forward? Where does the benefit of the doubt come into it? Based on the call, it was sent up no try. I don't know, you could go into all sorts of things, but we did get lucky with a couple of other calls against the Broncos as well.
I think that. That forward pass in the first half, that could have gone either way, and I've seen worse let go in a lot of games. I guess it depends on the referee that's controlling the game, but that should have been a try probably. But then the Walsh try, I thought there was a knock-on by Arthurs. The ball's travelling forward.
And it was sent up no try. And you have to have conclusive evidence that it was a try.
What gets me, though, is that with the amount of ball that we had inside their attack zone, or in their attack zone, and we failed to convert it into points. We failed to put some distance between us and the Broncos with the amount of ball that we did have. The Broncos got down into our half or into our 20 twice in the second half, and both times they scored.
Yeah.
And that for me is the issue.
They're
defensively,
absorbing it. They're absorbing it, going down the first opportunity, scoring. I mean, that just happens so often.
Yeah, mate, couldn't have been more fitting than it being Reece Walsh, ex-Warrior Reece Walsh, that kicked the ball out.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer fella, honestly.
I mean, when we won the toss in Golden Point, and we elected to have the breeze at our back. So either the breeze dropped or he put something on that to kick it dead, because he was kicking into the breeze. But yeah, I will say one thing about Metcalf though. Even though his goal kicking had been pretty atrocious for the night, he didn't hesitate in stepping up and wanting to take. Yep.
Straight away, the fingers went up. Yeah, 2 points. Yep.
So that shows probably the kind of character that he's got, and good on him. It was just one of those games where, in seasons past, it's a game that we would have lost, and one that we would have talked about at the end of the season as a what if game. Moving into putting us in finals contention, and they're the games that you kind of got to win. If you can still get the 2 points and win ugly, that's pretty important in this competition, because there's no easy games.
No,
and it's good that we bounced back well from that hiding against the Storm.
That's something we've historically done quite well, is we've bounced back from hammerings. Like, remember last year when we lost 66-6 to the Titans, and then the following week came back and beat the Broncos.
Yep.
You go back through our history, and we have bounced back quite well of absolute hidings. Like Shannon said, you got to remember we had 6 first choice players out. They were close to a full strength Broncos team. But yeah, win's a win, as you said. Like, there are no easy wins, and the Broncos, they are a great side on paper. They, I think. So it came out that Reece Walsh had done a PCL, and they reckon that happened in the first
minute,
when he got smashed by Capewell, which kind of set the tone, I think, for the evening. But yeah, that certainly helped us as well, because if he was at full strength and full flight, he could have terrorised us. But instead he's out for 4 to 6 weeks, I believe. So a blow for the Broncos, but yeah.
There was one thing that the Warriors-Broncos games have always had is a highlight reel of big hits and defence. It was always Francis Melly, Brent Tate, and the CHT hit on Adam Reynolds.
Villasanti,
was copybook.
Unreal, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
That's going to be replayed for years on end, that one. It was just such a clean hit.
Yep.
And you can just see the look on Reynolds' face is like, yeah, you got me. You got me.
Absolutely, mate. Because I want you to be able to talk a little bit about jerseys. I know you want to. And we've actually got a few things that we need to discuss tonight anyway. I'll just get you... I'll go into our Dean Bell medal points for the Storm game. You gave 3 to Clark, 2 to Ford, 1 to Halasima. I did the exact same. And then this game passed against the Broncos. Your 3-2-1s were Clark, Vaiamunga, and
Halasima. Yeah. I thought they were all sensational. Like, Aaron Clark has been close to the bye of the season, I think. He has been outstanding, and he's running away with the Dean Bell medal at the moment. He plays well above his size. He post contact meters. He looks like poking his nose through the line every time. High work rate. He's been fantastic. I thought Vaiamunga had a fantastic game. He was heavily involved as well. Both sides always looking for that sneaky offload out the back. Reminds me a bit of the Warriors forwards off the pass, like Logan Swan, Arwen Guttenbeil, always looking to pop that pass out the back and get a bit of second phase. So he excites me what he can do. He's got a bit of a skill set on him as well.
Yep.
And Halasima, mate, he keeps going from strength to strength. He's so young and raw boned, and he's only 19 as well, and he's just going to get better. And this is what he can produce right now. It's like it's real Ali Lauatiti vibes.
It is, isn't it? It is. Mate, I gave my 3 points to Clark. Like you said, he's arguably the buy of the season. When we signed him, we actually said it was a cheaper version of Jazz Tavanga. They let Jazz go. They bring Clark in, but Aaron Clark stood up. He's playing that. Yeah. He's filling that 13 jersey. You couldn't think of anyone else that had filled that spot. And I think he's really stepped up in the absence of James Fisher-Harris as well.
Leadership and experience with his 100 games.
Absolutely.
It shows out there. Yeah, that's what we need.
So really happy for him. I gave my 2 points to Halasima. And I gave 1 point. I was torn between two players. I actually gave my 1 point to Kurt Capewell. I thought playing out of position in the centres. Yes, he still had some missed tackles in his game. I think he had 3 missed tackles in his game. But I just thought coming up against a faster outside backs of the Broncos, I thought he held his own. The look of determination on his face when he got into the backfield there.
He's on the treadmill. He's on the TV 122 towards the end there, wasn't he?
He was. I was really, really hoping that he found the line, but passed that ball back in for Metcalf to score there. I gave my 1 point to Capewell, which means, as you said, as you alluded to when you were chatting, Aaron Clark, 10 points clear in the Dean Bell medal stands. He's on 21. Closest person to him, Wade Egan on 11, and then a whole host of others on 6 and 5. I mean, it's Aaron Clark's Dean Bell medal to lose now,
sure
and that's huge. Only after 7 rounds.
Yeah, but, that's outstanding start to the year, and couldn't be happier with how he's going.
Absolutely. The Warriors wore their Pacifica jersey for this round. I know when the jerseys were released and the merchandise was released at the beginning of the season, we were quite skeptical about how it looked. I went out and I bought the Pacifica shorts, not the white ones that they play in. I bought the training shorts with the
black ones.
Black
nice.
ones with the motif.
Those ones are nice.
They are.
Yeah.
I think you bought the polo, did you?
I'm going to get the polo because I quite like I like pastel colours.
I actually thought the polo looked good on some of the boys. It really popped with some of those Polynesian boys, the darker skin with the pastel colour.
Yeah, it does. Unfortunately, not on me.
No,
not so much on me.
I'll be honest. I'm not a fan of the jersey, and that's just my personal taste. I'm more a dark kind of guy. I wear pretty much black or solid colours everywhere I go. But it's the meaning behind the jersey is quite beautiful, and they had that Golema on the arm in honour of Sunny Fire, which
I didn't realise. Yeah, that was.
I didn't realise that.
Yeah,
and that alone might make me get the jersey.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But funny you should say that, mate. Look. When the jersey came out, I was quite critical, if not heavily critical of it. I was likening it to the picnic blanket debacle from 2020. But look, I obviously understand the meaning behind it, and we have had so many fantastic players over the years of Pacifica heritage and background, and I think it was good to do a jersey and a line of merchandise to honour those guys because they deserve it. Because all week the Warriors' social media had been like sharing highlights of some of the great players over the years: Ali Lauatiti, Jerry Siu, Francis Melly, Clinton Torpey, and all these guys, all the legends of the past, and it just sort of gets you excited again. And look, as I said before, I'm actually a bit of a fan of pastel colours. Like you guys all know, I'm a massive Miami Heat fan, and the Miami Vice jerseys that they've done have been like an absolute hit.
Yep.
And this kind of had the blue, red, and green, but in like a pastel variety of it. But as we said, it looked like they'd got a white jersey with a Pacifica pattern, and they put a bunch of rainbow paddle pops on there and just let it melt over it.
Yep.
So when I saw it out in the field, I thought I probably have to admit it looked a bit better. Like as you said, on some of those guys out there, jersey looked fantastic. And from one side where you could see predominantly green and blue, I thought that was the better side. The side that had the sort of like the red bit on it looked a little bit kind of. That's what I don't like about it. Is it's got that sort of faded, I don't know how melted sort of thing to it. But where I'm going with all this is like sometimes a jersey can be reevaluated by the performance that it was played in, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. Yep.
So, like, let's face it, there's going to be a couple of moments from that game that are going to be replayed over and over again, and not the least of them being the Luke Metcalf penalty to win it. It has been. It's been played all week, and everybody's seeing that jersey, and it kind of reminded me of the jersey I'm wearing at the moment. So, this is the NZ Flag 2011 Heritage jersey. We wore it 3 times back in 2011, but most famously in that semi-final game against the Tigers with the Krishna Ninu miracle try right at the end. And I think ever since that point, everyone has always associated this jersey with that game, and it's been a classic ever since. But leading up to it, this jersey was not that popular. And I'll be honest, for years and years and years, I never really liked the jersey this much. I happened to pick this up in a steal online, so I couldn't resist it. It's hard to find it my size at the moment. So I'm kind of feeling this Pacifica jersey is going to become, maybe not to the extent of this one, because it wasn't a finals game or anything that it was, but like it's going to be one of those jerseys that people are going to see over and over again, because that's going to be like a highlight that's going to be played. Everyone's going to go, oh, that's the jersey we wore when we beat the Broncos in Golden Point. So yeah, actually pink. Yeah, the red came across as a little bit pink on the jersey.
Yeah.
Sort of melted across it. So look, I said in one of my preseason predictions, I said despite the fact I was bagging the Pacifica jersey, I'm probably going to end up getting it. And at the moment, I'm pretty damn close to actually getting one now.
Yeah, good.
Just because I think I'm going to look back at it and go, geez, that was a good game when we wore that jersey. Because I don't know if we're going to wear it again.
No.
So, and I don't know. I think we do have a couple of other jerseys to be released this year. There's one that Louis Brown has been hinting on. So all you guys, this is on a bit of a tangent, but all you guys that are fans of that 2011 Fern jersey, I believe there's a stylized newer version of that coming out.
I've got that hanging there somewhere, mate. That's in there somewhere.
You got that one there. Yeah.
Yeah, I got the Fern jersey.
That'd be in your top 5, mate.
It is that and the flag jerseys in my top 5. And it's interesting. A little bit of trivia. We wore that jersey 3 times. 2 times we wore it against the Tigers, and at both of those Tigers games, we were there. So you were at the one where we lost. I
was at the one in NZ where we lost. Yeah,
and I was at the semi-final when we won. Got paint thrown on me in that one at that game. Great Tigers fans. Yeah,
Tigers fans, eh? They're almost as bad as Broncos fans.
Absolutely.
Brian, yes, we will be at Magic Round.
Definitely at Magic Round, mate.
Definitely be at Magic Round. Yeah. We'll catch up with you at the pre-match function at Lord Alfred.
Lord Alfred, yeah. If anyone's getting to Magic Round this year, don't forget there is a Warrior Nation / Ruin Hammer fan get-together every year at the Lord Alfred. So that'll be happening from about, I don't know, midday on the Saturday, I think.
Yeah, probably will be. Our game's at 5:30, but I think a lot of people are keen to start, so it might be maybe more early afternoon.
Yeah, excellent. Speaking, we'll just keep on the Warriors theme at the moment, mate. Chance Nickel-Klokstad has been in the news today. Re-signed on a 2-year deal. Initially, it was thought that he wouldn't re-sign at the club. I think the club only offered him 1 year. He was looking at the Super League. We discussed it a couple of weeks ago where we thought it was quite weird that he would be looking to go to the Super League when he fought so hard to get back home to be near his kids. Yeah. Your thoughts on the 2-year deal, mate, and what repercussions will this have for a bloke like Tane Tuapiki, who, let's face it, when Roger and Dallin are both fit, he won't find himself on the wing. Will that revert him into that 14 jersey, or will he just drop back to reserve grade? And he's too good a player and too good a talent to be languishing in reserve grade. He's a first grade footy player. He'd be playing first grade at any other club.
Any other club.
He's very like K.O. Weeks and Keanu Kinney, Jai Gray, those smaller fullbacks that are quite elusive. There was a period in that game on the weekend where in broken field he nearly scored again against the Broncos. I know you're a massive fan of Tane. What are your thoughts on the Chance Nickel-Klokstad re-signing, and what do you think this will do to Tane, who has re-signed until the end of 2027? Yeah, 26. Yeah,
26, I think. Yeah. Look, don't get me wrong. I'm more than happy for Chance to stay around. Like, he's a great club man, great player. He's all heart. Like, I just immediately when it happened though, and it was a 2-year deal. There'd been word that he was looking to go to Super League, and I think initially the Warriors had lowballed him a little bit. I don't know exactly. I'm not privy to any information, but it just seemed that way, and he was exploring his other options. So they obviously seemed a little bit more keen to keep him around. But my question is, are they keeping him around as a first-choice fullback, or are they keeping him around as a sort of play in the back line? Like, he played a little bit of 5'8". He looked quite good in centre whenever he played, and centre has always been previously been a position of kind of doubt for us, but it looks like with Ali Leotawa owning one centre position and Rocco Berry, when he's fit, seems to slot in there. So I don't know whether they're keeping around maybe as a 14, maybe as a lock forward even. Like, I mean, he's got a great running game, and that's the strength of his game. But like, if this ends up costing us Tane, I'm gonna be ropeable, honestly.
You brought up something
yeah.
today in our group chat with the boys from across the ditch, Brad and Richie, saying that it's quite ironic that we lost Chance back in 2017, at the end of 2017.
End of 2018.
2018. We lost him because he went to the Raiders because he couldn't get a full-time spot in first grade at fullback at the Warriors. Went to the Raiders. He's now come back, and he could be the person that results in somebody else leaving our club.
But one thing that I wasn't a huge fan of last year is when Webby sort of came out and said, "Oh, Chance is our fullback." Like he said, straight down the line, Chance is our fullback. I don't know whether that was just for Chance's benefit, being that Roger had come back to the club and he might have been looking over his shoulder a bit, saying Roger's coming back to take my position again. I don't know whether that was just like a public declaration to say this is how we're going to play. But like, Tane just offers so much. His game is so versatile. He has so many facets to his game. His attacking Arsenal. Like, he's even got a little bit of a kicking game, as we saw when we set up that almost an accidental try on the weekend. But
he has kick for goal.
Can kick for goal, and he's been the general play kicker in New South Wales Cup before from fullback. So he does have a good kicking game. And my next question was, okay, well, if they don't see him as a fullback, surely Webby is smart enough to say that we've got this guy here. He wants to be at this club. How can we utilise his skill set? Maybe he's got another idea. Maybe he's going to put him in at that 14. Like, he doesn't stay on the wing if we've got Dallin and RTS back. Because where else is RTS going to play? We tried him at centre, wasn't a success. Maybe fullback, but that doesn't help Tane either. So yeah, that's my biggest question. That's the biggest, I guess, unanswered question out of all this is, what is the club's plan for him? Don't get me wrong, Chance has been a great servant to the club, and he obviously loves the club, and I'm not bagging him. I'm not bagging his performances on the field, but I just say, when you compare the two players, Chance is getting, he's around the 30 mark. Tane is like mid-20s, I think, 25, 26. And I just think, I've said it over and over again. I just think Tane brings way more to the fullback role than Chance does at this point in time. Your thoughts?
I tend to agree, mate. Chance is, when I think about Chance, I think energy. That's probably the word that sums up Chance. He's all energy. His
work rate.
High work rate. He goes hard all the time, and some of those games where he's just been so energetic, he's ended up being like best on field at fullback. Do I think he's our best choice fullback? No, I don't. I think both Roger and Tane are better at that position than Chance is. But it's those three guys, when we have a full fit squad, all three of those guys have to be in our 17. I don't know how Webby does that, but they have to be in the 17. Whether Tane moves into the halves or whether one of them goes into that 14 role, and they can just come on, similar to, like, I don't know how old the people are that watch us, but similar to 2005 Tigers. Dean Hallertau was a smaller version of a player, but he just used to come on as like an extra forward, so to speak, or an extra middleman, and just tear the big forwards to shreds by just backing up the big men around the middle. I think Tane could be versatile in that role. It's a great conundrum to have, because obviously we want to keep all the players at our club, but I think moving Tane into the halves is probably not an option. I mean, we've just bought some Jai Lanane, I think it is, from Newcastle. We've still got Tanner Boyd on the books. We've got Tamati Martin there this year. Our two first choice halves in Metcalf and CHT. Luke Hanson has been promoted from Jersey flagged to reserve grade this week, playing 5'8", and Jet Cleary has also been promoted from Jersey flag to reserve grade. So if that's not an indication that they're getting these guys ready, playing against bigger bodies and getting them ready for a dip into first grade, I don't know what is. I've watched some of the highlights of Jet Cleary. Although I don't like to liken him to Nathan because obviously they're two separate players, but Jets seems to have all those attributes about his game that Nathan has. He seems to have a lot of space when he's got the ball, a lot of time on his hands. Great running game, can kick for goal, and I think the club might be looking towards him as possibly the next guy to step up into first grade.
Jeez, what a story that would be, though, if that does happen. Just thinking about it is crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know.
And we got that Jai Lanane.
Jai Lanane, yeah.
Coming from Newcastle as well. And it's hard to see how all these guys, like, we're going to have about 6 or 7 halves. I mean, something has to give. So, like, obviously means Tamate Martin's probably not going to be retained, especially now that Chance is re-signed.
Yep.
He's off contract at the end of the year, but Webby came out and was saying, like, no, we see him in our plans and we're not going to let him leave early and all this sort of thing. So, it's when you look at a full strength lineup, it'll be interesting to see and to sort of hear from Webby about how he plans to use all these guys.
We've also got guys at our club that, let's face it, are purely there because they don't want to leave family behind in New Zealand. Guys like Adam Pompey, Bunty Afua, 2 guys who have been offered to other teams in the past, but they've obviously stayed at the Warriors on lower money.
Yeah, less money for sure. Yeah,
and are quite happy to just be part of the club, play the games in first grade when they can.
I suspect Ed might be one of those guys as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets re-signed again. Yep. And you'd probably have to imagine it'd be the same case. Like he's a good backup.
The thing with Tane is, I don't know how much family he's got in New Zealand, but we know he's got a shitload of family on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, his family's all on the Gold Coast. I had a chat to his mum back in 2023. They're all on the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
He came through the Burleigh Bears as well.
Yep.
That's where we picked him up from. So, look, he's not going to hesitate, mate. If he's not getting the start here and a Queensland club comes knocking, particularly the Titans want him or the Broncos or anyone, mate, or the Dolphins, he'll be straight back there for sure. Like he's not going to last long on the open market.
No, definitely not. It's one of those watch this space kind of things that we have to watch and wait, and see how Webby pulls this squad together past this season, because there are guys that are coming off contract that may not be offered. As you said, Tamati Martin looks probably more likely to leave now than stay.
But he's another guy. Like he's got that whole boating, camping, fishing kind of thing. His I don't know, what do you call
BCF
it?
And fun.
He's got that whole he's got a YouTube channel now where he goes out pig hunting and fishing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So who knows? Like, mate, he might be another one that will say, look, I'll be happy to stay around the Warriors for another year or two, because he's around the 30 mark as well.
Yep.
His lifestyle might be set up there again, but I think I did hear him in a chat in one of the radio shows, something saying he's prepared to move if he has to. So
yeah,
he's not going to stay for peanuts. Yeah.
No. Mate, shall we just go through quickly the round 7 recap? Thursday night, the Seagulls hosted the Dragons at 4 Pines. Poor Seagulls playing their 5th home game this season, but Seeb's getting
heavily
upset.
Entrenched.
Heavily entrenched at 4 Pines. Seeb's getting upset that they've played 5 games in 25 days or something. Boo fricky hoo, Seebs. Dragons 20 over the Seagulls 18. Friday night, mate. The Bulldogs 32 over the Rabbits 0. This is the first time, believe it or not, that the Bulldogs have started the season 7-0 since 1938. They came into the comp in, I think, 1935.
35, yeah.
65,000 people at Accor Stadium on Friday night, or Friday Arvo. The biggest regular season crowd ever for an NRL game. Those Bulldogs fans, we thought our fans jumped onto a bandwagon.
How many kebabs were sold, do you reckon, in Belmore?
Quite a bit. Yeah, those Bulldogs fans know how to jump on a bandwagon bus. But for me, mate, they're the real deal this year. You know, they start the season 7-0. They've held two teams. The other thing too is they've been in the comp since 1935. That's the first time they've gone back-to-back weeks holding an opponent to nil, which I found was an amazing. Yeah, I found that was an amazing stat.
They've been a good side, throughout the 80s and 90s, and 2000s. So.
Yeah, won some premierships. They have, and they look like they're the real deal at the moment.
Yeah, mate. It's like a good defense wins out any day of the week. Premierships, everyone says that premierships are won on defense.
They'll get their first loss in a game where you're not expecting it. You know, an understrength team or something like that will come out and nip them when they're looking ahead at maybe a game past them. Mate, the other game on Friday was the Storm and the Dolphins. The Storm led 16-2. 16-2 before the Dolphins scored 40 unanswered points to end up winning 42-22. It's only the second time that Melbourne have lost when they've led by 14. So they're now 79-2 in that stat. And it's only the 12th time in the Bellamy era that the Storm have conceded 40 points in a game. That's amazing because I think like 12 times in that era, we've conceded 40 points to the Storm 4 times in that era.
Comfortably. Maybe 50.
That was a great win by the Dolphins.
Nicarima, Cody Nicarima, honestly, mate, come on. Where was all that at the Warriors?
Yeah, well, I know, exactly. Isaiah Katoa is really playing some good footy for them as well. And it's no fan. I'm a massive fan of being an ex-centre. When I played the game many, many years ago, I love Herbie Farmworth as a centre. I think he's probably the best running centre in the comp.
Best looking running centre in the comp.
He is too, well. Yep. Doesn't have to put tips in his hair like Jesse Arthur's. The Saturday, the Warriors 20 over the Broncos 18. Second game, the Panthers bounce back 40-12 over the Roosters.
I think they're back. Already.
Yeah. Interesting in this one. On a run. That game was 15th versus 16th. At round 7, when would you have ever thought that 15th versus 16th would be the Roosters Panthers?
Crazy.
But they look to have finally found their groove. Big test for them
Edwards
again this
back
week.
is a massive in for them.
Yeah.
And then Edward and another week playing with Cleary and those other guys, and when To'o gets back in there, they'll be right back up there. I don't know if they'll be top 4. I think they've lost too many, but they'll be top 8 for sure.
Yeah, I think they'll make the semis. Well, I don't think they'll win a 5-peat though.
No.
They've got some vulnerability around them now.
Yeah. That we've seen them bleed, and if it bleeds, we can kill it.
Yes, exactly right. Sunday footy. Titans versus Raiders. Titans led 16-0 in this game before the Raiders kicked into gear. They ended up winning 30-20. The Knights versus the Sharks. Sharks 34, Knights 14. Gee, the Knights are a hard team to watch. I'm going to watch them this week because they're playing us.
They are. Yeah. I think we're leading into something here, but yes.
They are a hard team to watch. They're just playing some really awful footy. They're struggling to score points. But we will talk about them soon because we will preview the Warriors-Titans game, the Warriors-Knights game in a minute. And then Monday footy. Mate, what a game of footy this was. Probably one of the best games of the round. The Eels 38 over the Tigers 22. The return of Mitch Moses. Para were just a different team with him playing 4 try assists.
Switch, didn't they? Yeah.
They were down to 11 men for a period of that game, and they just really dug deep. And it reminded me of that was it 2021 when the Warriors were down to 11 men against the Tigers and they just couldn't.
That's right.
They couldn't win.
The worst win in NRL history that night.
But yeah, good win by the Eels. Speaking of this game, the Tigers chose not to play Lachlan Galvin in the halves. What are your thoughts on that and the whole Galvin situation, mate?
Yeah, I'm really torn on this one. There's no secret that Isaac Moses has got some beef with a lot of people in the NRL, a lot of power brokers. He came into he once had a stranglehold over the Warriors, and then I think when Robbo decided midway through 2020, he was cutting all the Moses signed players out of the team. I think Kearney himself was one of them. Adam Blair, Gerard Beale, Cody Nicarima, all these guys that we seem to all get all at once around 2018 and 2019, they're all Moses clients. He's caused plenty of other troubles. Nick Politis refuses to, Uncle Nick refuses to do business with him, and here he is again, the thick of this Lachlan Galvin situation. It just reeks of them trying to force the Tigers to release him.
Yep.
He's come out and said it was handled poorly by both parties. I think there was probably no rush to get the deal done, but then when he came out and said he doesn't plan to sign after 2026 season. It kind of makes it untenable, isn't it? It's almost like, what's the point?
Look, it was bad. It was bad advice from his manager because when the Tigers tabled that deal to try and because he asked for a release last year, and the Tigers knocked it back, and then they wanted to lock him in to a long-term deal, so they put a contract in front of him worth $6 million for however many seasons,
5 years,
and said 5 years or something like that. Now the smart move by Galvin, and Braithen Astor said this on NRL 360 last week, would have been to say, guys, I just want to focus on this season and getting us to the finals. That's a great offer. Can we talk about it at season's end? Because he can't talk to anyone until November 1 anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
And all of this would have been put to bed for the next 8 months. But he was told, he came with his dossier of points that he wanted to get out of the club and he didn't trust Benji and he didn't think he could.
Was terrible.
And all the stuff that he's saying about the Tigers that he can't develop his game there. Benji was the best six that the Tigers have ever had. If he's and he still runs drills at training with ball in hand. If he's going to learn anything from a six, he's the best six to be learning from as a coach. He's got Jerome Luai next to him, who's just won 4 premierships. He's got Api Coruscant at 9, who's won 2 premierships. All the talk now is he's going to go to Parramatta, to a coach,
rookie coach,
who's had 7 first grade games. I just think it's been handled very poorly by all parties. I agree, and the Tigers thought they were doing the wrong thing by benching that kid on the weekend, but they picked him in reserve grade. What they should have done is just given him the week off. Don't let him play. He's played reserve grade. He played a half-decent game in reserve grade. The Tigers really missed him in first grade. They lacked some creativity there on Monday.
They really did. Yeah,
ended up going down against...
didn't have the best game. Yep.
Ended up going down against a team running dead last, and now Benji's hand's been forced and he's been picked to play this week. So... I think it was a week in Tigers history that they'd rather forget. But what other basket case club could handle a situation like this as good as the Tigers have?
But like one thing that I'm torn with is, I was like, as a club, like the senior players clearly don't want to play with him. There was all those reports that Luai and Coruscant and a bunch of guys said, like, we don't want him in the team. Old Moses would have been licking his lips over that, saying, "Okay, you guys don't want him in the team, release him." But at the same time, mate, he's contracted for the rest of this year and next year as well. So at what point, like clubs just can't be doormats.
No.
And while I agree that the Tigers should dig their heels in and make him honour his contract, it's going to be detrimental. Like it has to be detrimental to all parties involved. He doesn't want to be there. the players and team know that he doesn't want to be there. Yet he's arguably one of the most important positions on the field. In a team that is on the rise, let's face it, they've won more games than they have most seasons already in recent history. So, mate, it's a real hard one, and haven't they had some doozies, the Tigers?
Well, the other one too is if it gets to the point where it's untenable, and the Tigers are forced to release him, because the Tigers are the team that loses out, and you see it happen.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying he's done anything wrong here in terms of breaching his contract or anything like that, but you've seen it happen, and I'll use Josh Adokar as an example. Got done for drugs last year, and the Bulldogs took a stand and they cut him, right? The only team that really hurt was the Bulldogs, because Josh Adokar signed with Parramatta a week later, and he's playing first grade and now killing it on the wing at Parramatta.
Yeah.
If Lachlan Galvin's released, he gets picked up by another club, and the only team that's really been punished for digging their heels in is the Tigers. And I think in the NRL have to take a tougher stand on these type of situations. Yes. So a guy like when Josh Adokar's released from the Bulldogs for his drug thing, well then he can't be signed for another club until like 6 months. He's got to wait 6 months before he's even able to. And same with Lockie. If Lachlan Galvin's released by the Tigers now at round, say, 8, I think the NRL should say, well, he can't sign another contract until November 1.
Like what the Dragons did with Gordon Tallis back in the day during the Super League War. He wanted to come to the Broncos and he wanted to leave, and the Dragons dug their heels in and said, mate, you're not going anywhere.
Yep.
If you don't want to play for us, you're not playing for anyone. And he sat that whole 1996 season out in the prime years of his career.
What about Wayne Bennett with Justin Hodges when he signed with the Roosters?
Yep.
What was that, at the end of 2001?
Yep.
Played the whole season in reserve grade, or the back end of the season in reserve grade before he went to the Roosters. So it's an interesting one. I'd hate to be a Tigers fan right about now.
Just quickly, Stevie Williams has brought up basketball. I'll quickly touch on that one. So yeah, mate, Saturday was an awesome day. The Heat are the first 10th place side to ever qualify for the NBA playoffs. We won the play-in against the Hawks on Saturday, and I was saying to you boys, I need 2 results today. I need the Heat to get up over the Hawks to get in the playoffs, and need the Warriors to beat the Broncos. So yeah, Saturday was a very good day.
Just want to touch on Caleb said he's flying over for Magic Round. He's got a mate there in Brizzy. He's going to get us some tickets for Saturday. He's probably going to go to Caxton on the Sunday. Hope to see other Warriors diehards. Bro, the Lord Alfred Hotel on Saturday is the place to be. It's the official home of the Warrior Nation. We host a fan event there. Been doing it now since 2021. Rob?
Yeah, we've been there since 21. Yeah, it was after COVID. Yep.
So yeah, definitely get to that one, mate. What else is in the chat there? I saw that you went to the Bulldogs game, Jay, the week before. 24,000. I mean, obviously 65,000 this time round because of the public holiday, Good Friday, not much open anyway. And then you probably get some of that Easter show crowd as well. But Doggies supporters, mate. I remember last year, I went to the Warriors Dogs game in 2023, and there was not many Dogs fans at all. A lot of Warriors fans. I went to the Dogs Warriors game last year, and there was Dogs fans everywhere. They do know how to support a winner. The old Doggies fans.
Sound like Lakers fans to me.
Mate, I'll just touch on the ladder as it stands after 7 rounds. The Bulldogs, they remain the only team yet to face defeat, sitting on top of the ladder on 14 points. 4 points clear of the Storm, who remain in second place despite their loss. They're on 10 points. The Raiders in third and the Warriors in fourth. Both of those teams also on 10 points and rounding out the top 4. The Broncos, Sharks, Dragons and Rabbits make up the top 8. All teams on 8 points, with the Cowboys also on 8 points, but just outside the 8 in 9th spot. Then you've got the Tigers, the Dolphins, the Seagulls, Titans and Knights all on 6 points, with the Panthers, Roosters and Eels in 15th and 16th and 17th after 7 rounds. The Eels just with a hand on the wooden spoon at the moment with a inferior for and against. Before we move on to this week's game against the Knights, I'll just quickly touch on our pathways. Our Harold Mats 2 weeks ago played in the semi-finals. They beat the Roosters 20-4. They had the week off last week. This week they play the Rabbits in the grand final qualifier. I'm not sure where the games are at. I haven't got that information yet. I'm assuming they're here in Sydney, so if any Sydney siders are around, they want to get out and support the Harold Mats boys. This will be second year in the comp, and it's the second year in a row we've made it to the grand final qualifier. Of course, last year we won the Harold Mats competition. So, yeah, get out and support the boys. Obviously, SG Ball has finished. The Jersey Flegg have had a loss to the Sharks 2 weeks ago. They beat the Dragons 36-30 on the weekend. They're climbing up the ladder now in ninth position. And our New South Wales Cup side are leading the comp. They had a 50-12 win against the Dragons on the weekend. They are flying high, leading the comp 5-1. All right, mate. Warriors, round 8.
Yep.
Versus the Knights.
Sorry, Stevie. I'm just joking, mate. The team that Webby is named to take on the Knights in the Anzac Day game in Christchurch on Friday night, 6 o'clock kickoff over here in Australia. So there'll be a 6 o'clock here, isn't it? Not 6 o'clock New Zealand.
I think it's 6 o'clock here, yeah.
Yeah, so 8 o'clock kickoff over in New Zealand. Chance Nickel-Klokstad returns. Tane Tuapiki goes back to the wing. Adam Pompey retains his spot on the wing. Rocco Berry and Ali Leotauer in the centres. Chanel Harris, Tavita, and Luke Metcalf in the halves. Jacko Ford again named in the number 8 jersey with Wade Egan at 9, Mitch Barnett, the other prop. And then Kurt Capewell goes back to the second row with Murata Niokore and Aaron Clark at lock. On the bench, we have Leka Halasima, Bunty Arfoa, Demetric Vaimonga, and Jacob Laban retains his spot on that bench. 18th man is Tamare Martin, and then the extended reserves are Tanner Boyd, Tanner Stowers-Smith, Samuel Healy, and Ed Cozzy. Two guys by the name of Tanner on the bench, on the extended bench. I don't know if that's ever happened before in NRL history.
Tanner Stowers-Smith was our 18th man on the weekend. He's very close to getting getting very close to having his NRL debut. I would have loved to have seen Leka Halasima retain his starting spot.
Stay on the edge there,
but not to be. This is going to be a tough game, mate. One thing I do want to raise is we had some great discussions with Cam George a few years ago around the Anzac Day stuff. And we found out that before the draw is done, every team gets to put in 5 games that they want to host at their home ground. And the number one for the Storm was always the Warriors versus Storm at Anzac Day at Amy Park. The Warriors went to the Storm, I think it was at the end of 2023, and requested that become a reciprocal game. 1 year New Zealand, 1 year Australia, and the Storm said no. So that traditional Anzac Day game, which we've been playing against the Storm for 10 or 11 years or whatever it is now, got wiped. So last year we played the Titans in New Zealand at home, Go Media Stadium. It was our first Anzac Day game there since 2014. 2015, sorry. And then this year we're playing the Knights in Christchurch. I'm a bit torn. I would like to see us have a rivalry on Anzac Day against a club where it can be a reciprocal 1 year in New Zealand, 1 year in Australia, and build some sort of thing. And I don't care who that team is. Just let the NRL or the Warriors pick a team, and that becomes our Anzac Day foe. I don't agree with the game going to Christchurch either. I think for the Warriors members, this is a game, like, it's such a poignant game in the calendar. I would much rather see this. I mean, they can take any game to Christchurch and they'll get a crowd there. I just think as members, this is a game that members of the Warriors should be able to attend. And I'm not a member. I live in Australia, so like where it's played, unless it's played here in Sydney, really has no effect on me. I've been to one Anzac Day game in Melbourne and it was really well done. But I don't know. I just feel taking this game to Christchurch is maybe, I don't know, doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah, it almost kind of seems like an afterthought. Like it's like, oh, we've got to get a Christchurch game in there somewhere. Oh, let's just make it the Anzac Day game.
Yep.
Yeah, like you said, it's a big event on, well, obviously for all Australians and Kiwis, but also on the rugby league calendar as well. And the NRL has always done a really great job of honouring the Anzac Day round. And
yep.
Yeah, I agree. Like it would be great to have that back at Mount Smart. Like last year against the Titans, by all reports, the pre-game build-up and everything was fantastic. What happened after that, we all know. But yeah, it was just a really good day, a good afternoon out there, and yeah, and that's not to say that it won't be a great event in Christchurch, but yeah, it just seems that like we get so few of these at home, in New Zealand, I should say, that it would be nice to see it at Mount Smart Stadium. So we'll see how we go.
Yeah.
See how we go. See what happens. It's hard to say, you know.
Coming up against a Knights team that not playing great footy, have some danger men across the park. Marzu's good on a wing. Bradman Best is a New South Wales centre. Fletcher Sharp's been outstanding week in, week out. Dylan Lucas is back. You got the Thompson twins up front. Yeah, they're Kalen Ponga at the back. Let's not forget Kalen Ponga. They're a team that look like they're struggling for a bit of form, but they're only one good performance away of kick-starting and going on a bit of a run. They've done it before, and they've got the cattle in there.
Ponga single-handedly did it in the back end of 2023. What did they win? Like 10 straight games.
And that got him the Dally M. Ended up winning the Dally M by 1 point because he went 10 straight games where he got 3 points.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was. Yeah, this is not going to be a walk in the park. The Knights have been struggling to score points. That's no secret. But they haven't been too bad defensively up until last weekend. Like their losses have been close. I think this is going to be a grind. I don't think it's going to be an easy win. I think we'll get them. But I don't think it's going to be an easy win. It's going to be one of those nail-biting games that we hate watching, but ultimately always it's
like the last 10 minutes of last week's game.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, well, what I mean, there was a question just before about our halves, and if I'm being honest, our halves haven't set the world on fire. I know they've got a build and they're trying to create a combination and getting into their roles, and I'm quite happy for that. But yeah, they really need to step up. I said earlier in the chat that I thought when we got down, who did we play on the weekend? Broncos. When we got down the Broncos in the Broncos attack zone there in that 20 metres, I don't think Metcalf as a halfback was getting his hands on the ball enough. That first receiver and getting some shape to our attack play. It seemed to be a lot of those cut back under type plays and which is great.
Telegraphed stuff. Yeah.
I realise why they're doing it because it's trying to suck the defence in to create the space out wide. But if you're not going to use the space out wide, it's just wasted sets. And we seem to be doing 5 plays of that to try and bring the defence in. So yeah, I'm hoping to see a little bit more creativity from our halves this week. And I really want to see a better use of our bench. I want to see more time Halasima and Vaimunga on the field.
Yeah, I don't think that even Webby is sold on the halves combinations because look, you got Tamate Martin and Tanner Boyd on the extended bench, and we had Tamate Martin in the 17 last week. He came on and did a spell he came in the 5'8" jersey. Came in and played 5'8" while
CHT got pushed into
CHT
hooker.
went to hooker. Yeah. So, I think even Webby's not 100% sold on it, and we're just lucky that, Stevie was saying, we're in 4th. Yes, we're in 4th, but I feel like so much of our attacking play is not coming from the halves. Like it's being set up by Egan, or it's being set up by the forwards, or a bit of individual brilliance from Halasima. And some of those guys there, even Tane's getting involved and putting on some plays and that sort of thing. So yeah, like the good news is the halves aren't playing great, but we're still winning.
Yeah.
That's great for now. And yeah, like you said, if you can win ugly and not play your best and still come over 2 points, mate, 2 points is 2 points. It's such a tight competition. It has been for years, so it's like gold.
100%.
But it will be interesting, and I still stand by my preseason prediction that Metcalf and Harris DeVita will not be the halves combination by the end of the season.
I stand by my preseason prediction as well that Adam O'Brien will be the first coach sacked in 2025.
Even when we play him back into form, even when we give him away.
That's the thing. That's what they're waiting for. I reckon. I think he's on borrowed time.
The funny thing about Adam O'Brien, and they keep bringing out this stat, is that he's made the finals 4 out of his 5 years. However, what's the difference between just missing out in the finals or sneaking in and losing first week, like getting flogged first week?
1 week.
I mean,
that's all it is.
You've extended your season by 80 minutes, and yes, you'd rather make it than not make it. But apart from 2023, when there was that Ponga run, I don't think they've won a finals game. They won that game just against the Raiders. It went in Golden Point and played us the week after, and we obviously smashed them.
Yep.
It's they're just playing such a dour, uninspiring footy for now. You'd have to think he's on borrowed time. They were about to sack him in 2023, and then he went on that run. They re-signed him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, I don't know. What's your prediction for the game, mates?
I agree with you. This. I think I can see this being a very close game. I reckon we might get out to a pretty good start. I reckon we might get out to 12-0, but you'll probably get back to like 12-10. And I guess we've touched on the Knights aren't great, haven't been great in attack, but it doesn't take much for them to click. They've got a couple of guys in there that can make things happen, most notably Ponga and Bradman Best as well. Always seem to score a lot of tries against us. So, look, I think this is going to be a real tight game. I think we're going to get away with it by 4, but I think it's going to be a nervous one. I really think it is. I think we might struggle to put them away like we have kind of all year. And, I don't know. For whatever reason, we don't really play that well from in front. So I sort of feel like we keep the game close for as long as we can and then just get a late try or something to win it.
I'm going to say a 3-point win by the Warriors. I think it's going to be close, and Kalen Ponga will kick a field goal with about 3 minutes remaining, and then the Warriors they'll drop the ball in that set after kickoff, and the Warriors will get it, and it'll be. I'll even go out and I'll say Tane Tuapiki scores in the corner. Metcalf misses a goal. We win by 3.
This is not the first time you've made this prediction. This sounds very familiar. But I see where you're coming from. It's like we're behind by 1, and then you throw all your eggs in one basket and come up with a Hail Mary play, go into the corner, and there you go. There's your 3-point win. This is what we did. This is what we did against the Storm in 2008 when Michael Witt went over.
Oh, yeah.
We were down by 1, 15-14, and when Whitty scored and eventually got the ball down, it was 18-15. So one of the rare goals he missed in the Warriors jersey.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't care. Look, I don't care. I don't care how we get it, but if we can get out to 5 wins, mate, that sets up our season up really well. And then after that, we go into playing the Cowboys and Magic Round. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but look, we just got to get the job done this week.
Yeah, 100% we do.
Nervous 4-point win. Very, very nervous 4-point win for me.
Very, very nervous 3-point win. There you go. Put your money on it. There's your multi. All right, the rest of the games this week, mate. Versus Bulldogs, Suncorp Stadium. Broncos, couple of injuries there. Reece Walsh out injured. Selwyn Cobbo moves to fullback. Dean Mariner comes onto the wing for the Bulldogs. Harry Hayes is the only change for them onto the bench. Jack Todd out with a broken arm. This is one of those games where the Bulldogs, because of the injuries to the Broncos, are probably expected to win, but they could end up losing. But at Suncorp Stadium, I'm not willing to bet against the Bulldogs at the moment. I just see they're defensively, they are the best in the comp. And I think it'll be a close one, but I'll pick the Bulldogs.
I'm going to do something crazy here. I think old Dom Woganowski would have put the red hot poker up them this week, grabbed all their shoes and stolen them, and he would have got all those love blisters from that Golden Point victory. I think he's going to have them primed. Reece Walsh had not been playing well up until this point and was probably even a little bit more detrimental. So it may be a blessing in disguise for him to be out of their side. Cobbo with a bit more open space at fullback has been quiet this year, so it might be a bit of a rebirth for him. I'm going to go an upset. I think the Broncos win. I don't know. It's at Suncorp Stadium. The Bulldogs are due for a loss. I'm just basing it on that.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love your betting brain, mate. Friday, the traditional Anzac Day game, the Roosters versus Dragons at Allianz Stadium. For the Roosters, Billy Smith comes back into the centres. Mark Nawonga-Nitawasi named on the wing. Dom Yum dropped. Angus Crichton returns from injury. For the Dragons, Sione Fainu named on the wing for the injured Matt Feagai. Emre Gula comes onto the bench for the injured Hamish Stewart. I'm going to pick the Dragons, mate.
It's a toss of the coin. Yeah, they've got form on the board. Flano's got them playing a tough brand of footy. It's continued on from last year. I think they'll get a tough, gritty win. Like they always do.
Yes. Second game is the Warriors versus Knights at Apollo Project Stadium. We've both picked a gritty, close win for the Warriors. And the final game on Friday night, three games on Friday night, on Friday for Anzac Day. The Storm versus the Rabbits at Amy Park. Nick Meaney returns in the centres for the Storm. Bronson Garlick named at hooker for the injured Harry Grant. Jerome Hughes is still under an injury cloud for the Rabbits. Latrell Mitchell has been shifted to fullback. Bailey Bentley Harpe named on the wing. Campbell Graham moves to the centres. Jaden Sullivan named at halfback. And Jai Gray named on the bench. I don't know. I think Jai Gray's been probably their best. It's hard to tip against the Storm, but what the Storm dished up last week was atrocious. I'm going to pick the Rabbits, and let's say the Rabbits haven't won in Melbourne.
They've had 19 consecutive losses in Melbourne. Yep. So the Rabbitohs haven't won in Melbourne, I think, since 1999. Yep. So the year they got kicked out of the comp. So yeah, that's a drought. Makes our 17 games not look so bad.
Yeah. I'm going to pick the Rabbits. I'm going to go for an upset with the Rabbits.
Jeez. I think I'll stick with the Storm, but I think it'll be really close. I think Rabbitohs will be right up for this one. So yeah, Storm by 2.
Saturday, Cowboys versus the Titans at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. For the Cowboys. Johnny Bateman returns and Jeremiah Nanai named to start. They are coming off the bye. For the Titans, Alofi Khan-Pereira returns from injury. David Fafita has also been named, despite reports suggesting he could be out for a month. And Tom Weaver remains at halfback with the injured Jaden Campbell out for 4 to 6 weeks. Mate, I'm going to pick the Cowboys.
I cannot get a read on the Titans at the moment.
No. I'm going to pick the Cowboys, but I hope they win so good that they party all week and don't turn up next week at Magic Round.
Come on, Toddy, do us 2 favours.
Absolutely.
Yeah, look, I think the Cowboys at home will be slightly too good. I can see quite a few points being scored in this game. There usually is in these Queensland derbies. I'm going to pick the Cowboys in a fairly close one.
Yep. The next game on Saturday is the Panthers versus Eagles at CommBank Stadium. For the Panthers, Luke Summerton's named at hooker for the suspended Mitch Kenny. Isaac Tungo named in the centres. Luke Garner moves back to the bench. For the Seagulls, bionic leg Tommy Turbo named to make his return at fullback. Lehigh Hopewadi moves to the wing. Tommy Talau goes back to the bench. Our mate Jazz Tavanga moves to lock for the injured Jake Tebojevic. Jake Simpkin named at hooker. Mate, I think the Panthers have found a little bit of form, and I think that will continue. Manly just really haven't shown anything this year, except for their opening round win against Cowboys.
Yeah, it's again hard to get a read on how Manly's travelling at the moment. Yeah, very disappointing loss for them last week, and I think the Panthers are back. I've I've already declared it, so I think they'll be too good. Yeah, Panthers.
All right. Sunday, the Raiders versus the Dolphins at GIO Stadium. Ricky has named an unchanged 17. For the Dolphins, Francis Molo makes his club debut in place of the injured Felice Kafusi. This is a hard one because the Dolphins have got 3 in a row and had a little bit of form on the board. The Raiders are just plucky as all fuck. I'm going to go the Raiders simply because they're at home.
Yeah, I might stick with the Dolphins. I think their key players are starting to click. Like this when everyone said the Hammer was out of form. He scored something like 5 tries in the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
Jermaine Osako scoring a truckload of points, and Cody Nikorima's playing out of his skin, and Isaiah Katoa. So I think they might have a little bit too much firepower for the Raiders.
Yep.
Who are, like you said, they're quite plucky, but yeah. It'll be close. High scoring, close game.
High scoring, close game indeed. And the final game on Sunday is the Tigers versus Sharks at Leichhardt Oval, one of the great fields to watch rugby league. For the Tigers, Lachlan Galvin has been named at 6. Adam Dewey moves back to the centres. Brent Naden goes to the wing, and Luke Lalili, who scored that great try on the weekend for him, is out of the... Yeah? What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, did you hear Brandy calling him Lauatiti?
Yes.
Like, honestly. Called him Lauatiti a couple of times. Like, turn it up, Brandy.
And Royce Hunt, he returns from injury. For the Sharks, Toby Rudolph is out, replaced by Tukupu Hau Tapuha. Sharks.
Yeah, it has to be. I think the damage has been done for the Tigers. It's a shame because they were travelling along so nicely, and I get the feeling that this whole Lachie Galvin thing is just going to completely derail their season.
Yeah,
and I feel for their fans. Like I feel for the great Juan and Brad and these guys that are diehard Tigers, man. And we're all full of hope and optimism, and yeah, it's sort of been stolen from them at the moment.
Yeah, well.
We got the silverware, so that's all that matters. Don't make me point to the Mike Doreen Cup, guys.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I can't believe that Lachie Galvin wants to leave the Tigers without ever having won a Mike Doreen Cup.
Yeah, well, he might have to stay around for a while. He might have to sign a 10-year deal to Cherry Evans.
Yeah.
And then they'll win it after he leaves. After he says he's not going to re-sign after 10 years.
What have we? Have we won the last 8 against the Tigers?
We haven't lost the Tigers since 2019, round 2, 2019.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're getting a bit of a streak there. It would be kind of better if it was against someone a bit more impressive. But anyway.
So as Ruin Hammer, we have never seen the Tigers beat the Warriors.
We haven't. There was a famous meme of you though at that 2019 game, wasn't there?
There was. We got done by 50 at that one. Yeah. I
remember. It's ridiculous. Oh, there's another time we got done by 50.
And it was raining.
Even better.
It's a rite of passage. Rite of passage is watching us lose by 50 in the pouring rain, or watching us lose by 60 in intense heat that you want to...
Where the sun follows you up the grandstand.
Or watching us lose by 70 when we're doing a live watch with Warriors, actual Warriors personnel on the live stream with us.
Oh no! Shout out to Glenn Critchley. He's now at NZ Cricket, but yeah, like when I was having a chat with him earlier this year, I did say, mate, we'll always remember that night when we had you on and we got pumped by 70. And he's like, mate, that was that. How good was that?
Oh, fucking hell! Great. A little bit of housekeeping, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to give a shout out to all our Patreon supporters. We thank you very much for your continued support. Your generous donations helps us to keep bringing you the product, the Ruin Hammer that we bring you each week. If you do want to become a Patreon supporter, the link is on the screen there. It's www.patreon.com/ru_and_hammer. Jump on there, and we've got a couple of different membership packages that you can look at for as little as $3 a month up to $10 a month. If merchandise is your thing, that entitles you to a couple of our fantastic Ruin Hammer shirts. So jump on there and have a look. And speaking of merchandise, if that is your thing, then go and check out our Redbubble store. It's redbubble.com/people/ru-and-hammer/shop. Make sure you go through our shop so that all the commission does come back to us. There you go. We've got the, in honour of the re-signing, we've got Hammers rocking the Chance Nickel-Klokstad shirt there. There's a couple of different Chance shirts on there that you can have a look at. You can rep current players, past players. I'm currently working on a Leka Halasima shirt, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. And that'll also
Leka the Wrecker.
Leka the Wrecker, that's it. And an Ali Layer Tower. There's an Ali Lauer TT shirt you can get, but there's an Ali Layer Tower shirt in the works as well. So keep your eyes out. Redbubble have sales on all the time. So at the moment, they've got 20% off all merchandise, and that applies to everything in our Ruin Hammer store as well. You can get it on all different garments. You can get it on all different sizes of T-shirts and colours. So jump on there, check it out, and a little bit goes a long way, and it comes back to supporting us and what we do and paying for all the costs that are associated with us here at Ru and Hammer Media.
Absolutely. Well, that wraps up this week's show. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. It's a special day this week, Anzac Day. I hope everyone has a wonderful Friday honouring those brave men and women who have fought for the liberties and the freedom that we all have in our daily lives. To you, mate, good seeing you again. And we will be back next Wednesday with our review of the 3-point win against the Knights.
For my heart's sake, I hope not. But anyway,
I hope everyone stays safe. Have a wonderful long weekend this weekend, and